Split Fiction launched the other day, and frankly, I'm not much of one for couch co-op style designs of games, and as someone who plays predominantly solo, I was a bit reluctant to play it, but boy was it worth it. Developed by Hazelight Studios, the brains behind games like A Way Out and It Takes Two, which won Game of the Year when it launched, it takes your puzzle co-op to another level and a more serious tone compared to It Takes Two, but it's an abundance of fun to work with your partner, to pass challenges, puzzles, explore the story together, and dare I say it might even be a Game of the Year contender. Today we're going to be diving into Split Fiction, what you can expect, and some general thoughts on the game itself. Drop your thoughts, drop a like, and if you're new here, consider subscribing. I'd love to have you in the community. We're, of course, getting back into posting regularly here on the channel, so would love to have you around. But for now, let's get into it. So first, what is Split Fiction? Well, it's a brand new story-driven co-op game, again by Hazelight Studios. This game follows Mio and Zoe, two drastically different characters who share the same common thread of being unpublished writers. When a chance to get published pushes the two together, something goes wrong, where they both end up intertwined in each other's stories, now having to rely on each other to end up getting out of them and back to the real world. Along the way, you'll learn more and more about each of the characters in a compelling narrative that will keep you wanting to play more and more, but the gameplay itself is honestly probably one of the best parts here. It's addicting. If you're a story fan, puzzle fan, side-scroller fan, you name it, there's a little bit of everything for everyone, and the puzzles are just an incredible part of the ride. So let's get into some of the things I like and maybe dislike about this game. Firstly, the things I like, spoiler alert, it's gonna be a longer list here. The friend pass is probably one of the biggest things that I love about this. You don't need to own the whole thing. If you have a friend that you want to play with, they're the other ones in the co-op that you want to play, they can own it and you can tag along for the ride. And personally, I think this is such a brilliant strategy. I think in getting players to experience your game, that's the biggest thing you want, even if it comes at the sacrifice of maybe a few less sales. Hell, it could even possibly work the opposite, where I played this, I didn't own it, but I think my wife would enjoy it, and I'll probably play a local couch co-op coming up soon. May have gotten another sale because I didn't have to pay for it directly. Graphically, the game looks incredible. What you're seeing is 4K high res. I could crank it up to ultra, but honestly, I was very surprised at how good it looked on just the high settings, and the performance was incredible as well along that. It was phenomenally optimized because not only are you running the world in 4K high resolution at high frame rates, you're doing it rendering two different perspectives here. Again, just a testament to how optimized the game turns out to be. The puzzles themselves that come along with this, no level really is the same. There's a lot of stuff that goes back and forth to different genres of how puzzles work, but it draws inspiration from a ton of games that you may have played growing up or even currently out there in pop culture. From standard platformers to things reminiscent of Prince of Persia, Dune, Galaga, and Sonic. Hell, there was even a Dark Souls Easter egg that's in a side mission that caught me completely off guard. There's just genuinely so much you can do, see, and kind of pull from that may seem familiar to you. The back and forth storytelling is phenomenal. When you mix the storytelling with compelling gameplay, it's hard not to be sucked in, and the variations of the puzzles made it ever so intriguing on what you do next. Each level design was also incredibly unique. There's gorgeous set pieces and tons of attention to detail. Moments that you could miss that are honestly hilarious attentions to detail, like even early on, one of the things that I first remember being like, well, that was a cool thing they didn't need to do, was in one of the first missions, there's a level with trolls that if you look down during the platformer portion of it, jumping from stake to stake, you can see a guillotine that will cut off one of the hands of the trolls. And there's tons of hilarious little secrets that you can say, sit down, take diving boards, slide off a rooftop into a pool, sit in the tubes in a water, stuff like that. There's a lot of just, again, small attention to detail items. There's a ton of side missions that are fun deviations. You start to feel like maybe you're on the main story and in one area for air quote too long, though long is kind of based off of what you see in the marketing here, where it seemed like it was a lot of back and forth when you first jump into it, but there are some decent amounts of time in each of the characters' stories, but the side missions end up keeping it fresh. Entirely optional, you don't have to play them, but they are something that's definitely a nice little added touch. The sound design in this as well is just impeccable. There's one mission where you're running through a space station near a dying star, and the visuals and audio is just, oh, so good, so good. Honestly, out of like 6 hours of playing so far, I think that I have over half of the game completed now at this point. I think the average time frame was like 10 to 12 hours that it will take, depending on if you just go through the main missions or if you do the side quests as well. But honestly, there's not a single portion during that 6 hours of playtime where I wasn't just like, this is fun. This is having a good time. Up front, the cons, there's honestly not a whole ton. Again, of 6 hours or so that I played, genuinely have very little complaints. And the only things that I do, like, it's me being stingy looking for stuff to nitpick about. Some of the inputs are kind of finicky, like driving sometimes didn't feel as responsive as I had hoped in some areas. Sometimes it felt like there was a slight delay in some of the inputs, but again, genuinely not a huge deal at all. Vehicle controls are also defaulted as inverted too, so that might be a little bit of a learning curve if you're not too big a fan of that kind of stuff. And then boss battles can sometimes feel a bit drawn out maybe, but again, that's me being nitpicky. It's just one of those things where there's like 3 to 4 to 5 stages of a boss fight each individual time, where when you see that boss fight, you can realize, okay, well, I'm gonna be doing the same thing over and over for like 4 to 5 minutes perhaps. But that's honestly about it. Everything else about this has been genuinely very enjoyable and a ton of fun to play around with. So if you're looking for a co-op game, you've been trying to play something with your friend, you want something new, something fresh, and honestly, very not repetitive in nature. Like, yes, you are doing puzzles and everything throughout this entire game, but everything is so unique, so different, and draws inspiration from various different locations that it's not gonna feel like it gets old at all. It's a lot of fun, I think, and it's definitely a game you should check out. Now again, will it be a Game of the Year contender? I mean, they definitely know what it takes to win Game of the Year. See, It Takes Two. And this is one of those things that, again, it just continues this sort of unique gameplay elements and just fun factor that even after I play it, I might play it again because there's achievements that I want to get that I can't with a certain character that I'm playing. So might do it again, and I'll be looking forward to it. So that is a huge testament, I think, to what this ends up presenting to the player in a gameplay loop. And if you're looking for a recommendation, I definitely think this is one of those games that I'd recommend. Not Call of Duty, not FPS, absolutely, but that's not what we're trying to publish here on this channel. This is for basically everything else that I'm interested in, and playing some games with reviews, guides, tutorials, and general playthroughs. That's what we're doing here on the channel. So that is where we're going to wrap it up. Just wanted to give you guys a little bit of a heads up and a look at Split Fiction. And if you were on the fence, definitely try it out. It's definitely something I think you'll have fun with. But for now, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Let me know your thoughts down below. If you guys are new to the channel, you want to see more stuff that isn't FPS related and just other games, subscribe. I'd love to have you in the community. For now, thanks so much for watching. Mine has been Espresso. I'll see you later. Take care and peace.